Good morning. Number 3, video blogging this morning. Another morning, I got up out of bed, lounged a bit, had flowing awareness, that elusive term of mine, and became aware of what I was going to be talking about. So here we are. So I ended up watching a bit of a movie last night. I had it recorded so I could fast forward to different parts. It's Pretty Woman. I enjoyed that movie. I liked that movie a lot. And I was in a bit of an unusual mood yesterday afternoon and evening. Not that I'm pretty stable typically. So I'm sharing a couple of moments when I've been a little bit just playing and experiencing some slightly different stuff. But that's the small piece clearly of what I'm sharing about. Anyways, I watched the movie Pretty Woman, and I just dig it. Julia Roberts is easy to look at. She plays out her role well. And a quick aside, very quick. I went to Bali about 6-7 years ago. 2-week mindfulness trip with an author and about 10 people on the trip. And the night before we got together as a group, I went outside of a popular buying town, I don't remember the name right now, and stayed at a place, very Bali-ish. The walls are open to the outside, a lot of openness, a lot of tropical growth all around. And as it turns out, I was like a half a mile or less than a mile away from where they shot the Julia Roberts movie, and I'm not even going to tell you the name of it, so I'm sorry to massacre this part of the story. It's the one where it's Eat, Love, Pray. Hello. Of course, I enjoyed much of that. Moving on. Pretty Woman. And a little bit of sexuality this morning, a little bit of relationship, a little bit man talking about women, just sharing information. So, yeah, there's good polarity in the movie Pretty Woman. I'm reminded of, well, first I think I'll just say this. I've been saying for like 2 years now in particular, a fair amount with my friends, people I'm around, that how much I appreciate women, the feminine side, the nurturing side, the way that, I'm totally generalizing, and men and women each have masculine and feminine, so I'm not going crazy off, but I'm just talking about in general, the feminine side of women. It's a beautiful thing for our society to care for children, to have such a connection to, I'm going to say emotions, to be, and I'm talking a little bit here, there's a book by David Data called The Makings of a Remarkable Man, something close to that name. I read it, about half to 2/3, enjoyed it. It really emphasizes the polarities between a man and a woman, attraction, sexuality, and so I'm aware that I'm going to bring up a little bit about sexuality and sensuality this morning. It's just a beautiful thing. Hello. It's a wonderful part of life. And, it may pervade, you can talk about it in a whole host of ways. In other words, an individual who has a good openness and healthy relationship with sexuality can bring that openness, that vitality, throughout all of their lives. I've explored some in tantra, however you want to say it, going to groups in Minneapolis. That was more like 4 years ago. And they will certainly talk about that intimacy, that openness, that freedom of being able to have that part of one's life. So I digress a bit here, but I'm sharing a little bit of information about sort of me and my experiences. So I sort of allow a bit more of that to come out as I talk. Watched Pretty Woman last night, and Julia Roberts, this prostitute, meets Richard Gere, and as you hopefully have seen the movie, major businessman, cutthroat business guy, and he finds this soft side, and walking in the grass barefoot at the end, she talks about her dream of being up in a high fortress, being sort of like a prisoner, and her prince showing up, and that's how the movie ends. And so, I mean, sensuality, but Julia Roberts' discovery, or showing up in a way that she didn't just want his money by any stretch. And she discovered herself. And so I think my point is that I'm aware that there's a beautiful side of women. They're so authentic with their emotions. And as they explore in a relationship, I'm generalizing from a guy who is not real astute at relationships and dating in general. I'm not an absolute dummy, but clearly not an expert of insight, of really knowing, as compared to what I would talk about, aspects of mindfulness, at least in what I've experienced and what I know about it. So, there's a little chunk of information. So, I think I'll go to this piece now. Mindfulness. I had been married for a long time, 39 years, and we had grown apart, and there's stuff that happened, nothing that I need to be at all ashamed about, so to speak, whatever. I'm just saying I was a good husband. But nevertheless, our relationship went to a place, and over time, and the reason I'm bringing this up is that the spiritual path and mindfulness, combination of both of those, and of course, mindfulness is totally a substantial aspect of a spiritual path. It gave me greater clarity in what was right for me in life, meaning, at a certain point, a flower, my metaphor here, needs sun. And a long-term relationship is a topic that I am not an expert on. It's wild how all those insights about that, but it's its own game, it's its own animal, so to speak. And of course, it's this beautiful thing, and I will say that mindfulness certainly helped me just become more clear on what was important to me, what was core to what I found special in life. And the tricky part that I'm speaking of right now is that as one explores mindfulness and spiritual path, as one gains greater clarity, openness, realizing the beauties, and of course mindfulness will also ask an individual to not crazily seek desire and run from pain, pleasure, pain. Here's a tough word, anonymity, which is a Buddhist thing, and it's an absolute inherent thing about mindfulness, where because one is no longer trying to control nearly as much their thought, their emotions, the experience, one learns that the openness and just having the experience and being the one that lives that out, there's a term just being, which I may use it, tell you a whole other story on that in another time. And so with mindfulness and this heightened, no longer like, fuck, I have to avoid, I want pleasure, I want this, I don't want this. It's much more about just rolling along with this experience of being more open, lots of words, stillness, and such. Now this isn't all about just going into that, but so today I share, jump around, hello, good morning, Jerry DeBoer here. I appreciate women. There's a beauty in the sensuality and the sexuality, that sharing that polarity. I'm a single guy for 6-7 years, and that's all wild and beautiful stuff. I will share this, is that I've been in relationships that have definitely hurt when they've ended, and some of them clearly wasn't me ending them, right? I was on the receiving end to some degree. And the pain of that broken heart, I mean, I remember 1 or 2 times, like being in a car, driving, and the pain of a broken heart, a hurt heart, is very, it's such rich emotion. Deep, and there was tears, there can be tears. The depth of that emotion, in a way, is just a freaking beautiful thing. And it is true that even as I was in the midst of some of the more deepest moments of that pain, I'm pretty used to surrender, which totally assists living through those moments. And I was aware of even in the midst of that hurt, because it is clearly a hurt, some level of realization, experiencing awareness as well of, like, Jesus, while this hurts, to be able to be alive and have a source of these kinds of emotions, there's a vitality, and so it's all beautiful. Mindfulness, I believe, the exploration of mindfulness and going off on a spiritual path is sort of interesting. This is also true when one explores awakening. It's like if somebody's in a relationship, actually the stakes are getting raised a little bit, where 2 individuals in a relationship might find insight of they're not right for each other, the relationship's not good enough. Now, I'm jumping way over here when I say that, because overall, the spiritual path, exploring mindfulness, will allow a person to become more clear, tolerate more, to be more open, and that, I would think, quite clearly, although in my relationship I ended up on the divorce end, but it can add to the beauty, the tolerance, the seeing the big picture, the remaining, having a focus on really loving that other person, one's partner, amidst the differences. So a little potpourri today. Wherever you are in your life with relationships, sexuality, sensuality, I hope you're able to find some level, because we probably, I want more of that, right? Be with a lover, to have much desire and, shared love and all the physical, whether they're naked, all of that beautiful, ecstatic, sensual, that kind of sharing, that's a challenge in humans' lives, because we don't get enough of that. In a way, we just don't. I haven't thought about that with great clarity, so to speak, but you know, because there's beauty there, right? And then, you know, and I won't go too, but there may be some difference between men and women. You know, men are visual, but we're really talking more a greater connection and depth of even those moments, the sexuality, the sensuality. So there's many areas to go off on. But I wanted to praise women today because of what I've already said. And it's a beautiful thing. And as I was alluding to a moment ago, is I'm wishing and hoping that you get to express that side of oneself, whether, as I was referring to Tantra, that on the bigger resource part of it, that it helps you have vitality in life, or on a not quite so panoramic perspective, that whether it's dancing, listening to music, talking to people of the same sex, or your friends. Somehow I'm thinking about women here to some degree, but it's absolutely true on both sides. You know, the laughs, the laughter, the sharing. There's so much. It's such a valuable piece of ourselves as we live life. I'm referring somewhat here to sexuality, sensuality. So the beauty is we're talking about life here, and I will continue to. And isn't life like as much as like analyzing from a thinking? It's from more of a feeling and a opening and living from that, because you'll hear from me a whole lot that I think there's so much beauty and so much truth on a spiritual path of your experience, each person's experience. We're like an instrument. To play the instrument, I think of the violin, it's meant to be played. You're meant to be lived, you're meant to be open to your experience, and with mindfulness, it's built to take advantage of that, to express that, and the spiritual path on wherever that is, even on supposedly the higher levels of awakening and relationship with God, we'll speak on another time. It comes from here. It comes through living through that openness. And so there's our morning. Rock out. Hope you're having a nice day. Hope the good things come to you today. Enjoy, smile, know that you're a beautiful thing, per person, beautiful thing, and with love in your heart and an appreciation, hopefully, for life and openness and allowing a willingness to show up and allow all of that beauty. So bless you. Until next time, enjoy. Take care.